Hello and welcome. Good evening. You're watching Democratic Newsroom. I'm Akshita Nandagopal. We had a very interesting episode of the Democratic Newsroom last week. Since then, a lot has happened. You've seen, of course, in the last 24 hours, a lot of Pakistani artists, cricketers, channels, YouTube channels, Instagram handles being unblocked and then blocked again. The Asia Cup, the nod has been given for the Pakistani hockey team to come to India to play the Asia Cup. So questions right now being asked about what really India's Pakistan policy is. That's our focus in this edition of Democratic Newsroom. Is India's Pakistan policy inconsistent? I have with me here in our studios Rajdeep Sardesai, Pranay Upadhyay of India Today Global, Anjali Istwal, to my left Gaurav Sawant, and Geeta Mohan, a Foreign Affairs editor. Rajdeep, to you first. Last week, of course, we had a very animated conversation about this, where you said that, we should have ties with Pakistan culturally and also in sports. So are you happy that the Asia Cup is moving forward? Did you think that was a good step to unblock these handles?
This has nothing to do with my happiness and sadness, Akshita. All I can say, and I'm going to be very careful this time, given what happened last week, that I believe we've been frankly consistently consistent with this government, barring the first few years when you had Prime Minister Modi invite Nawaz Sharif for his swearing in, then the jhappiyas and papiyas that followed in 2015 in Lahore. By and large, particularly over the last 5 years, this government has been very clear. No Indian team has visited Pakistan. No Indian sports team has visited Pakistan. Cultural exchanges have been limited. Visas are restricted. So I don't see any major change. Yes, one YouTube channel here and there may have got unblocked, largely because sometimes the left hand in the bureaucracy doesn't know what the right hand is doing. Someone must have said June 30th as the last date for blocking, and then suddenly realized, oh, it's 1st July, and woken up to the reality of it. That happens in any government. So I'm going to give the government the benefit of doubt for that. But I do believe, and I said this last week, and I say it again, that eventually some element of sporting and cultural exchanges are inevitable. I'm not saying it will change the relationship substantially. It will not end terror. It will not perhaps even constrain the Pakistani army state. But the truth of the matter is, you have cultural exchanges and sporting exchanges as part of normal civilized behavior.
Do you think the government recognizes that too, and that's why you're seeing things like the Asia Cup moving forward?
No, look, I think the government will say that this is an international tournament. This is not a bilateral series. We haven't invited Pakistan hockey team to play against India. They're playing in a World Cup. They're playing in an Asia Cup. They'll have reasons for it. It's all very well. In fact, last week I forgot to tell you, you should find out from Captain Amrinder Singh of the BJP. One of Amrinder Singh's pet projects was to get the two Punjabs to play each other in sports, in kabaddi and other sports. And from what he told me, it was hugely successful for a while. It all depends on the political climate. Now you're still in the post-Pahalgam doom, and therefore you believe that these cultural exchange and sporting contacts should not take place. Who knows what will happen tomorrow? We've seen it with Mr. Vajpayee. We've seen it with Manmohan Singh. We've seen it with several prime ministers. Hawa badalti hai, hum nahi badalte. I can tell you, hum nahi badalte. I still believe that there are lots of decent people in Pakistan who we should be communicating with. Gaurav Sawant's comment should be heard by Pakistanis, and Gaurav Sawant must also be open enough to listen to what Pakistanis say. Let there be YouTube channels on both sides. What's the problem? We have nothing to hide. If we have nothing to hide, open up the airwaves.
Gaurav, listen to both sides. That they should listen to you, you should listen to them.
I wish Rajdeep and several others in India would listen to the Pakistani side when Mubashir Luqman, a Pakistani anchor, goes on record to say that he considers Indian actresses to be male ghanimat or war booty and sex slaves. That's the civil society of Pakistan that we're talking about, and it's not just one sundry stray statement that comes from a Mubashir Luqman who considers Indian women to be sex slaves and war booty. It's actually their psyche. Point 1. Point 2, here the people on the streets, they say exactly the same thing. During Operation Sindoor, when their army trucks were moving to the border, they were saying, oh, bring back Indian women as sex slaves. So, you must have cultural exchanges with such elements who want you to be, their sex slaves. That's the mindset that that country has. Yes, we keep changing. Yahan hawa badalti rehti hai. We are not consistent. But Pakistan, since 15th of August 1947 has been consistently bleeding India, whether it was sending terrorists backed by Pakistan army into Jammu and Kashmir, raping, murdering, plundering people. That massacre you may have forgotten in Baramulla when nuns were raped and killed, but then Kashmir remembers that. And it started in 1947. It's consistently happened.
No, you're saying...
1990, no, hear me out. You let Rajdeep complete his point. Let me complete my point. 1990, Hindu women were raped and murdered in Kashmir. You had mosque loudspeakers being used for saying Raliv, Galiv, ya Saliv. You've had instances of Kashmiri women being gang raped and sawed into half by these terrorists. You want cultural exchanges with such people? Sure, go ahead, but you're just bringing more doom and gloom to your future generations.
When you say inconsistent, we're inconsistent. Are you saying the government is?
Government, civil society, because we are filled with this notion that they want to be friends with you. Is there anything to show since 1947 that they want to be friends with you? Has anybody in Pakistan shown that willingness, that consistency? If they are scared for their lives and they are scared of their army, I'd rather keep that terror at an arm's length. If there is a mad dog, I wouldn't go and pet that mad dog. I'd either shoot it or stay at an arm's length.
Okay.
He's using the same language that he accuses the Pakistani anchors of. If you go through Gaurav Sawant, what some of the things he says,
sorry.
what
I
he
did
says
not
about
say they're
Pakistan,
sex slaves.
what you say
I did
about
not say
Pakistani,
Pakistanis are sex slaves. I don't want their women to be sex slaves.
Just hold on.
coarse
But one
language,
at a time.
and if we start talking about gang rape and
the
tragedy of this country,
One at a time. Let him finish.
Yes, it happened.
The tragedy of this country is that there have been awful communal riots that have taken place within our country as well.
So that's why we give Pakistan a clean
Hold
chit.
on, let him
So we
finish.
give Pakistan a clean chit.
I'll give you a chance to respond. I'll give you a chance to respond.
I'm not giving. I am against broad generalizations. That's all I'm saying. I agree with Gaurav Sawant. There are people in Pakistan, anchors, unfortunately even some cricket players, who speak a language that is unacceptable. Unacceptable totally. I agree with Gaurav Sawant. An anchor who speaks such language should be isolated, should be ostracized. Couldn't agree with him more. But just because a few anchors speak that, you can't generalize that about a nation. And sadly, there are people in this country today who are mimicking their language rather than showing that we are different. That's my problem. That we are better. If they go low, we can't go lower. We should be going higher.
We should
start using the same language as them. That's not the way forward.
You
use the uncivilized language about them.
Shahid Afridi, when Hindus were being singled out and massacred at Pahalgam, 25 Hindus, their name, their religion was asked, and then they were shot dead at point blank range. What was Shahid Afridi saying? Toast of this Lutyens cabal in Delhi. Shahid Afridi, what was he saying? You have 8 lakh soldiers, words to that effect. You have 8 lakh soldiers, Pahalgam happens. इसका मतलब तुम लोग नालायक हो, तुम लोग निकम्मे हो, and we want to deal, we want to open our doors and hearts to such elements.
I agree with you.
He's agreeing with you.
No, I agree with Gaurav. Who is quoting Shahid Afridi? Not the Lutyens cabal. It's your BCCI representatives and cricketers who are spotted with him in Dubai. They were having TV shows with him. They are sitting on the stadium. Ministers in this government were sitting with the same Shahid Afridi. My limited point. So therefore your generalizations that you make, Lutyens cabal, don't work anymore. This is very nice in a TV program. I will show you all the photographs of who was sitting with Shahid Afridi and who's giving him contracts.
But instead of name calling each other, I just
Rajdeep, just hold on.
I just want to reply to Gaurav about one thing he asked, and that is, when has Pakistan shown that it wants to talk? I am not saying that Pakistan is an angel and we should always be talking to them. But we have seen instances like the Kartarpur corridor, which many of us covered. We went over there. And that was a signal. At that point of time, the government wanted to talk. So the regime changes. There is influence of the Pakistani army. And that is why we see such, hatred coming from there. But as we've talked about it last time also, and we've talked about it personally also, Gaurav, I do feel we culturally are the same. And if they don't have a good culture, according to you right now, then why not exchange our culture? Give them our culture. Let's make them better.
Pranay?
I have no interest in making Pakistan better. No interest. I just want to stay away from them.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Pranay.
Anjali, there is a point. As far as the Kartarpur corridor project is concerned, of course, we all have covered, we have gone there. But you see what happened. Kartarpur corridor process was a long pending process. Pakistan used it for their own political agenda, and we could see, how the Khalistani project was coupled with that Kartarpur corridor project. And we could see the Bajwa policy. We could see Asim Munir's project.
One poster of a Khalistani during
Not
the
one
program
project.
is not a...
No, Anjali, you have not been to Nankana Sahib. We have covered that process. And Nankana Sahib, if you see, that consistently they have been using that place. Unfortunately, sorry to say, but that holy place is being used for the political objectives. We know the individuals, those who are guarding the Gurdwaras there, and they are... So good if you have been there, then how it is being used, we can't overlook the fact. But still, Kartarpur corridor is still active. We are giving those permits, but at least the government has to check those, who gets permit and who travels across the border.
I agree with you. And if I may, if
Quickly,
the
I think
Pakistanis
Geeta
are
has to
so
come
good,
on this,
yes, and Geeta must also respond to this, and so must all of us. If the Pakistanis are so good, why are they forcibly converting Hindus, Christians and Sikhs in Pakistan? If they want good relations, let minorities flourish in Pakistan. Let that happen. That doesn't happen.
See, they want to back to the same debate that we had last time around, and it's not just about the ban on the YouTube channels and the stars anymore, because the same thing, Gaurav, I said to you last time around as well, that it is the Pakistani state.
Mia Mithu is not Pakistani state.
State-sponsored, state-supported. All those extreme, radical extremist elements in Pakistan are state-supported. Otherwise, they won't thrive.
No, so how do you
Half the
differentiate?
time won't
How do you
thrive.
differentiate, Geeta?
But
For
the
example,
civilians,
let me give you an example.
The people over there
Let me give you an
are
example.
different. Not everybody is the
So
same.
let me give you an example.
You
For
have to
example,
understand that they
Hania
suffer.
Amir, who's so popular, she's an actor. When she puts out a post where she goes ahead and refers to India and Indian forces as cowardly, speaks about Operation Sindoor, doesn't condemn the Pahalgam terror attack, what do you then deem them as? They're artists. They're not extremists.
Akshita, they're Pakistanis.
So then
it's
where do
a
you
military
differentiate?
operation. They will side with their government. I'm not saying
Condemn terror?
I'm not a spokesperson for Hania Amir. I'm talking, and most of these stars are kids of generals, kids of military officers. They have such strong military backing. They come from very affluent class. I'm talking about
I'll come to you. Gaurav next. Gaurav next. Hold on.
Agenda, but we should also follow the Pakistani
Okay, let
agenda.
Rajneet come in.
We should not keep
Okay, everyone,
it
just hold on. Just hold on,
No, no,
please. You have to listen to the moderator. Just give Rajneet a chance.
My limited
I'm
point,
just saying
my
that there
limited
is a
point,
distinction.
my limited point is don't make broad generalizations.
Yes.
Gaurav Samant mentioned an anchor who used certain language, unacceptable. Gaurav Samant mentioned Shahid Afridi, the kind of attitude he's shown, the kind of remarks he's made, unacceptable.
May I present more?
For every
I have a long list.
All of them condemnable,
for every Shahid
unacceptable.
Afridi, I will also introduce Gaurav Samant to a Zahir Abbas. And you should meet Zahir Abbas and you should talk to Zahir Abbas, the great Pakistani cricketer, about how he's built relationships with India across the border. Likewise, in every field of life, you will have people who will spew venom, hate against India, unacceptable. We have but unfortunately, there are also people in this country who today spew venom and hate on the other side, and they feed on each other. I refuse to be part of these two extreme groups who are feeding on each other. That's my problem. Okay. And the more we deny each other a chance to talk to each other with civility, the more the extremes on both sides get powerful. That's my worry. I am trying to. Maybe I'm a dreamer, but I continue to hope. I know of a letter writing competition that young Indian school kids in Mumbai had with young Indian school kids in Pakistan. It was very successful. That doesn't mean that the Pakistani state has changed. That doesn't mean that there are hate-filled, venomous people who target India. That doesn't mean terror will stop. I am only saying the less space you give to civility, the more you empower the extremes on both sides of the border. That's where I have a problem. That's my limited point. Yes, young man here wanted to speak. Sorry.
Yeah. Gaurav
is not young. He's young. Gaurav is getting old.